Welcome to the Latched On Podcast. The Latched On Podcast is about the outdoors in Appalachia. Everything from hunting, fishing, camping, hiking, bushcraft, and woodsmanship, and digging into the depths of what makes this area of Appalachia so unique as a whole. It's time to strap in for the Latched On Podcast.
Welcome to the Latched On Podcast. I got Andrew and myself, Zach, here. We're going to be talking about the different elk things we can do here in the eastern United States, because I know it's mainly a western thing, but this past year, Virginia opened up their first lottery for elk, because we have been pretty successful in re-entering elk into our area, and also eastern Kentucky's had an elk draw for quite a few years now. I don't know the exact number, but they've got theirs where you can actually apply for the lottery and see if you win the lottery and stuff. So we're going to go into that in both states here, because we're only about 30 minutes from Kentucky, so it's pretty relevant for the people in our area.
Yeah, the best thing about, cool thing I've always noticed is that Virginia, this ain't the first time they've introduced elk in the state. Like, they've done it before, but setting up a thing, elk used to be here like hundreds of years, thousands of years before the Europeans arrived here, but they were extirpated. Mainly because of hunting, because at the time on the frontier, it wasn't livestock, it was hunting.
Yeah.
And I think the last recorded elk kill in Virginia was 1855. And it was done in, I want to say it was Beaufort County. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Oh, okay.
But it was up near the Blue Ridge. But anyway, most of your elk was west of the Blue Ridge. It wasn't on the East Coast in the flat areas of the state. But in December of 97, Kentucky decided to release some elk in the coal fields of Kentucky. And now their numbers are up to over 1,500.
Oh, that's sweet.
And a lot of the elk started spilling over here into Virginia.
Yep.
And I think Virginia just kind of took the mentality as we're not going to not have elk over here, so we might as well look at restoring elk populations of our own. But like I said before, it's not the first time Virginia has tried to put elk in here. Apparently, I don't know, you have the information pulled up maybe. They tried to do it once before, and then they did like a basic old elk season on it. And we pretty much killed them all off again hunting.
Yeah, that's what we had. Every state's had to deal with this just from the past. Once the Europeans did arrive, overhunting was always a big issue. And then that's when our great leader, Mr. Roosevelt, he put in a lot of cool stuff to actually realizing that we're going to use up these aren't unlimited resources. And that's what he started putting in action plans and stuff.
If you're a big outdoorsman in general and you start reading more about Teddy Roosevelt, you realize that he was like the biggest proponent for like modern conservation.
Yep.
As we know it.
And that's the best thing. I know a lot of people get frustrated with the game laws and stuff, but at the point right now, I think we're doing the best we've ever done.
And the American model of conservation is, in my opinion, should be a model for the world.
Yeah, we've done. Have we made mistakes? Have we done stuff wrong? Absolutely, but it's all a learning curve, and we're to the point. To get off is the turkey. That we successfully brought that back to where.
There are more. Well, like even then, like we're getting off about elk, but we're going to talk about it in general. There are more deer now than there was when Columbus landed. There are more turkey now than Columbus landed.
Yep.
A lot of people's actually saying that there's a turkey population decline in the southeast because we overpopulated turkey in the southeast, and now they're going down to a more manageable level.
Yep.
Now, this is of course all theory because we don't have any hardcore long data to support that. But there's also other factors that turkey didn't have to deal with 300 years ago before Europeans showed up or whatever it is.
Yeah. So that's what the cool thing about all this, how it links into conservation, is that we're successfully bringing elk and back into the eastern side, because nobody thinks, when you talk about elk hunting, nobody thinks east of the Mississippi. It's a western thing only, and it's pretty cool because a lot of us can't afford to go hunt western elk every year, and do that, and it's a very big logistical thing to do. It's a lot more difficult because the terrain is completely different, the animal's completely different. But there for a long time, like he was saying, it was just a general tag, and outside of the Virginia elk management zone, you could
You can still use a deer tag.
you could harvest an elk and use a deer tag to tag it. Now refer to your the Virginia DWR website for the in-depth details on that. But our elk management zone is here in let's see, was it the Wise Dickinson? Or no,
Wise, Dickinson, and Buchanan.
yeah, Wise Dickinson Buchanan. So you have to have a special permit. But last year was the first year they did the elk lottery in Virginia.
They had 6 tags drawn.
Yep.
5 by Game and Inland Fish, and 1 was Special Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And all 6 were successfully harvested. Mm-hmm. And let's see, it says October 2022 marked the elk hunt with all 600 successfully harvested bulls, the largest being an 8x9 weighing 852 pounds live weight and scoring Boone and Crockett non-typical 413 and 7/8 inches net. Let's see, inches net, and 433 and 5/8 inches gross, which is
huge.
That's freaking insane. And yeah, they've been managed and everything else and prevented, but that's pretty sweet that we've got some Virginia residents that was able to harvest.
I think like all of the people that drew the tags were Virginia residents too.
I think so. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
One was actually local. I think he was drawn out of Van Sant. The rest of them were kind of drawn around middle and northern and eastern Virginia.
But it's super cool because if you're in-state, it is.
It don't cost hardly nothing.
No, it's $15 for the lottery. Yeah. And then once you get, that's for in-state, and then it's
$40 for in-state.
So just for the non-refundable fee, yeah. So you got your lottery, you'll put in. We're way different than Western. We don't have units or point systems or nothing like that. So if you are familiar with how the West works, and every state's different, obviously, ours is, in my opinion, a lot simpler. But we also don't have we have 6 tags statewide, so it ain't like it's
6 tags statewide for 3 counties.
It's not 40,000 tags sold. Okay, so just bear with us. But it's $15 in-state for a non-refundable fee. That's to get you in the lottery. $20 if you're or $20 if you're out of state.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yep, and then if you win, so say you are drawn, and of course Andrew and I both put in for it this year. If we're drawn, then it's a $40 tag for in-state residents, and it's $400 for out-of-state, which is cheaper than any other state that I've researched.
I think the only thing that's close to that price range for out-of-state is Kentucky.
Yeah, so there it's significant. It's $100 cheaper, or hundreds of dollars cheaper than pretty much any Western state. So if you're over this way, it's worth you putting in for.
If you're a Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky resident, North Carolina resident,
yeah,
I mean, I would put in for it.
Absolutely, you're within.
If you're within 5-hour drive, I'd put in for it because it's easily going to be worth that trip.
Yeah, and they've been managed so well, and then like you said, they're restricting it to where it's not going to be over harvested again like it had been in the past. So. Mm-hmm. With only so many tags, I think they're having 5. I think it's 5 tags this year.
5 or 6, probably. I would assume 5 to be safe, but they may do a special Rocky Mountain tag again. But that could have been just for the first year thing. Mm-hmm. I don't honestly know how many tags they draw on average for Kentucky, but Kentucky's elk management zone is a lot larger than Virginia's because they've been doing it a lot longer, and a lot of things. While I was actually looking up information about Virginia, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Kentucky. Is like Kentucky, they've been doing it. I don't know how long they've been doing it, but they've introduced elk since '97, and I think this is my 3rd year putting in for elk tags, and I put in for all 3. And to put in for the elk lottery in Kentucky, I think it's $10 per tag. It's $10 for a bull rifle, $10 for a cow rifle, and then $10 for a bull cow archery or something like that. Mm-hmm. So $30 if you're putting in for all 3 tags. Mm-hmm. Now, once you draw that tag for out-of-state residents, it's like $400.
Yeah, it's for something.
Is doable. It's totally doable comparative to Western.
Especially consider we can drive.
Yeah,
we can drive to 2 hours?
Yeah, and even though there's not a buku of national forests in direct eastern Kentucky, you got Daniel Boone National Forest, but that's like more like an hour drive for us. But like, I think there's some special units in some counties of like coal company land that's similar to our pals' land in Virginia that you can hunt on. And also, I know a lot of people in Kentucky that own land that are big whitetail hunters. And it was the same guy I was talking about saddle hunting in a previous episode and all that stuff. And he actually sent me videos of him up in his saddle and a cow elk and a bull elk walking right underneath him.
Oh, that's pretty
And you
sweet.
can't shoot him, obviously, because he didn't draw.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, well, if I ever draw an elk tag, I'll be up there.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, come on up here.
Yeah.
And I got a buddy right now I work with. He's planning on moving up to Jenkins and getting ready to buy a 30-acre plot with his house.
Okay.
And I said, well, if I ever draw an elk tag,
Yeah.
let me know.
There's your spot.
I'll take care of it, and you can share in on some of that meat.
And that's what was cool is, like he said, they're a little bit more. They have their restrictions and their what weapons and stuff you can use in Kentucky. They got it a little more dialed in because Virginia's still new. Right now, you can use anything but sling bows or arrow guns
I
in
think it's
Virginia.
just, is it like a week season for Virginia, or is it a 2-week season?
I'll check real quick.
It was in October.
It is. It's
Kentucky,
early.
Kentucky usually does their season in September, like the western states does, because the elk primarily rut in September. It seems like they rut in September regardless of weather or region. Like, the thing about whitetail deer is they'll rut roughly about the same time in November. But sometimes, like in the south, they'll rut a lot later. I think it has to do with more of a climate temperature issue with deer. But it seems like with elk, it has no bearing on that. They'll rut pretty much generally at the same time every year. So it's one of those things that we look at, and let me tell you something. First time I ever heard an elk bugle in the flesh, I was fishing up on Pound Reservoir, and it was about 5 o'clock in the morning. Heard some coyote yelping,
Yeah.
and I was at the back end of Pound Reservoir, and I heard up there at the state line an elk bugle off in the distance. And at first I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Like, is it a Wendigo coming after me or some shit?
Yeah.
But no, it was just an elk. So they're here. I think I actually had a buddy. He lives down in between Pound and Wise, and he got an elk on a trail camera.
Oh, dang.
So they're definitely traveling further south than people think they are.
Yeah.
And I know that Virginia, officially, they probably have a lot more than this. I think that we have 250 elk up near the elk management zone in Buchanan County. I can't remember what the elk restoration plan counted for estimated elk in Wise and the rest of Dickinson County and Buchanan County, but you know as well as I do there are elk crossing over that state line. They may not be, and my thing is if I was ever elk hunting, I would go straight up to that elk line on that state line on the National Forest, and see if I can get an elk called over from Kentucky over to the Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, you know they're crossing over.
Yeah.
I mean, elk don't know what state lines are.
Yeah. Okay. So right here, it's this elk season for Virginia. Not to interrupt you, I just finally
No,
found
you're
it.
good.
It will
I
be
was just
held.
buying
This is
time until
the
you found stuff.
Yep. This is the 2023 to 2024 season. So this is the year we're in right now.
Yeah.
October 14th, Saturday, October 14th to Friday, October 20th.
So that kind of coincides with like a comparatively like to people who's used to elk hunting. That's like coincides with like a second or third rifle season in Colorado.
Yeah, it's real short.
Because your rifle seasons in Colorado go in like week increments, and you have a first, second, and a third, and a fourth.
Yeah. So it's just
So
like
that's
the
going to
one.
be that's going to be post rut. Now they'll still bugle and everything, but that's going to be almost post rut.
And there's 5 antlered elk licenses available for this year.
Okay, so 5.
Yep. And so the application period for Virginia, it opened on February 1st, 2023, and it closes on March 30th. So
by the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be closed.
yeah, absolutely. But it's something to get in. Like
I
said,
do like that application process as a set amount of time though. I know some states do it for like almost half a year.
Yep.
I can't remember when Kentucky does their drawing period for, but I know I like the 2-month drawing
Yeah,
period.
I like it because it narrows it down a little bit.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind a 1-month drawing period.
Yeah. And which, I mean, you can get on the DWR website and they'll email you stuff. So that's how I knew. I woke up one morning, I just had an email. I think it was February 1st or 2nd. And it was like, hey, the elk thing's open. Make sure you put in for the draw, whatever. And it was just a random email, from them because I'm subscribed to their email list. And I went ahead and put in for it. And it was like a $15 thing. And I think they said on here somewhere, I don't know if I'll come across it. So when you're in a draw, you're like, well, shoot, when will I know so I can go scout and everything else? If I'm not mistaken, they'll let you know by, I want to say it's like May. It's like May 5th or something, or May 1st or 5th or something like that. I say, all right, winners of the randomized computer drawing will be notified by May 30th. Okay, there we go. And then you can check the status of your application if you go on to the Go Outdoors Virginia page. So by May 30th, you'll know, which is great because you can go down and scout. So if you're local like us, it's, it's worth the drive to go scout a couple times and see if you can't find them. and it would last year all the elk were taken with rifle. All 6 of them were.
Yep.
This year we have 5. It would be absolutely awesome if
to draw
because my goal is
I would actually probably go archery.
I'm going archery. Yeah,
And I'm not
absolutely.
a big archer guy, but my mentality is I would if like I had like say what's a 2 weeks open, and if I didn't get one like in my first like week is with a bow, I would probably just like, all right, I'm gonna go with the rifle.
Yeah,
just because I can't get one close enough. I'm trying to look and see where the drawing period for Kentucky's elk is. I'm not seeing it on here quite offhand, but their season they have units actually in Kentucky. They have 7 units, all on the eastern part of Kentucky. So it's going to be based on what unit you're drawn for, and stuff like that. And of course, they have some rifle regulations and anything like that. But like their seasons, I'm pulling it up here. All right, there it is. They have a bull antlered firearm season, which is September 30th through October 4th.
Okay.
And week 2 is October 7th through the 11th.
Okay.
A cow firearm season is November 25th through the 29th, and December 30th through January 3rd of the next year. And either sex archery/crossbow, September 9th through the 22nd. So it's almost a whole month.
Yeah, so you get a lot more in Kentucky with if you use archery
And
equipment.
then you have a week 2, which is December 2nd through the 8th.
Okay.
So you technically get, a lot of opportunities in Kentucky. But of course, like I said, they have a lot more elk.
Yeah.
And they've established it a lot more there than Virginia has. Virginia is relatively new on it. I was actually surprised when they announced it last year. I talked to a buddy, Jarvie Robinson, owns that Robinson Taxidermy up near Pound. We actually talked to about 5 or 6 years ago that we would never see an elk hunt in our lifetime. And then here we are both proven wrong.
Yep.
And we had elk hunt. I think he actually helped with the elk up there. I saw him post a couple of pictures. He was actually up there because I guess he did a couple of taxidermy jobs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's when you're definitely getting mounted.
So, yeah, first elk, one of the first 5 elks in Virginia. I'm not much on taxidermy, but I would tell my wife, I'd say, listen, sorry, honey, I know you think they're a little tacky, but it's going up in the front. Your front living room right there.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to look at it, and you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's right. That's
historic right there.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. And that's why I was like, of course, we're all hoping we get the thing right. So,
Yeah.
But I would love to be the first guy in Virginia to take one with the archery equipment.
That would be pretty cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you use it, which as popular as archery is now, I'm sure somebody in Virginia is going to pick it up probably in the first. This is the second year, so
If
probably
somebody
before this year, next year, I guarantee somebody's going to take a bow with them, and I'd say somebody will. If I'm lucky, maybe I get the lottery, maybe I'll get that guy, be that guy. But
That'd be awesome.
We'll
We'll definitely be filming that.
Oh yeah,
Also,
yeah,
if
definitely.
Zach gets drawn, I'll be the cameraman, and if I get drawn, Zach will be the cameraman.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely take off for each other, work wise, so we can.
Yeah, I'll just tell work. I said, listen, guys, sorry,
Yeah,
you got to take it.
yeah. Use them sick days you've been saving up. Yeah, but that would be pretty sweet. But it's a pretty cool thing. It's cool because hopefully our kids maybe to be a lot more common, and maybe
in what 20 years when our kids are 20, 25, almost 30 years. God, I'm feeling so old when I say that.
Yeah.
When our kids are our age.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be more than 5 tags. Hopefully the elk population will be like Kentucky's, and you'll see, say like 500 tags get drawn, and maybe it'll be outside those 3 counties.
Yep.
Maybe they'll increase the elk management. I think the elk management plan in Virginia goes until 2028.
Mm-hmm.
So after 2028, I think they're going to update it.
Reevaluate everything. Yeah.
Reevaluate.
So you can still harvest them outside of those elk management zones. That's just
I think somebody shot one in Tazewell County about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It came in from West Virginia, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a whole lot. You're just a whole lot less likely to come across one. So
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, honestly, I'm not telling anyone to do this because it's all up to you. If you want to try to get an elk without drawing the elk tag, and you want to get it out, and you have to get it outside the elk management zone, and you have a buck tag or an antler tag, I'd probably go to Lee County.
Yeah.
Because that borders Kentucky and it's not part of the elk management zone. So you probably have an opportunity to shoot an elk there.
Yeah.
But it'd still be very rare.
Yeah, and it's mostly private land, so you're gonna have to.
No, I don't think any national forest in Lee County borders Kentucky. I think it's all like
And there's very, very little national forest in Lee County.
most of it. Like I said, most of it connects to Keokee and Appalachia and Big Stone. It's like right there at the county line. Stone Mountain Wilderness area is about it, and everything after that's all private land. So if you got somebody that owns some private land on Lee County, and you see an elk, and it's deer season, you got an elk, you got a buck tag, you might as well use it.
Yep.
But like I said, we're just going to glance over the elk right now. This is all for this episode because I've never hunted elk. Zach's never hunted elk.
No.
We want to hunt elk. We're going
I've
to talk.
tasted elk and it is delicious.
Yes, it is very good. We're going to talk more about elk in the future, especially because I'm not going to give anything away. But we got some plans in the next couple of years of where we're going to solve the elk equation. But for right now, we're just giving a little heads up on it, some little information on it right before this new elk season kicks in for 2023. And catch you on the next podcast. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Latched podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed making it. Our episodes come out every 2 weeks, so stay tuned for the next one, and we hope to see you all next time.